What's going on, good people? I haven't said that in quite some time. I'm feeling good, feeling great. You hear the laughter in the background. It is, listen, before we even get into the pleasantries, it is 11:11 p.m. on a
Child.
Thursday evening. I just finished recording another podcast, and here we are, late night with it. So I'm letting you know right now, if the slap happiness comes out, between myself and Rachel, it is what it is. But I couldn't be more thrilled. As they say, it's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you.
Come on, without a dope pod to step to.
You already know, man. Another episode of the Culture Garden podcast. What's going on, Ray P? How you
What's
feeling?
going on? Rich, aka K Rich, aka the Pod Father. Because I love how you just slipped in that you just got finished recording another pod, but you also just started another pod. So
Yeah. It's kind of, you know what?
nobody's
It,
busy.
you know what? It's funny you say that because
Mhm.
we always, no matter how long it goes without recording, the segues always happen. The chemistry is always there because um, I was just talking on another week in the books about just briefly was talking about just when I started podcasting, it was just the Culture Garden, right? I
Mhm.
never even imagined going past that. It was just I wanted to talk about movies.
Yeah.
Wasn't really nothing there, and then uh here I am, 5 or 6 podcasts deep. I think another 2 or 3 ideas in the tuck.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of it's something I really enjoy. But I forget all of that. This ain't even about that. The whole point of me bringing that up is even though I have all of these podcasts and all these outlets to have these conversations, genuinely and sincerely, there is nothing like recording with Rachel. Like you still by far, hands down, and obviously not a slight to all the incredible talented people that I work with on a weekly basis, but there's something about just the ease of press and play with Rachel and having these conversations. And it was one of those feelings because we haven't released anything new in a long time. I can't even remember the last time. I know the last thing we actually recorded together was the finale of House of the Dragon season
Yeah.
2. And
Yeah.
movie wise, I really can't recall because we were doing best episode ever.
Mhm.
But I was really excited to just, you know what, we got to do something. We got to get on it.
For sure.
So I'm happy to be here, Rachel. You make this a lot easier. I really think my best with someone else is always going to be you. That bar is always going to be there. That Quincy and Michael, whatever you want to call it, whatever duo you want to name, I say you put us up there with it because there's no greater feeling than hitting play on that record, and I got you right next to me having these combos. So I'm happy to be here with you.
I love you so deep. That was so good. If I need anybody to gas me, Kieron is always going to be the one.
No doubt. And I'm happy. I will happily do it. That's one of my favorite things to do is to make sure I remind Ray P how dope she is.
For sure. And I appreciate it every single time. And guys, I knew that we would be taking a little break from Culture Garden so that we could do, or Kyron and them could do best episode ever. But it was not my intention to take all of September off, period.
And I will say, not to cut you off, but I was just going to say, you reached out and say, yo, I got a movie like a few weeks ago. And
Yeah,
scheduling, we just been super busy, you and I, and
for
it got
sure.
out in the way. So, yeah,
For
going to
sure.
back to your point.
Yeah, no, just I've been super, super busy for those of you who are longtime listeners of both Culture Garden and We Got Y'all. Y'all know I travel for work. I have been gone 4 to 5 days a week every week since Labor Day. And that is up until the first week of November. So
Mm,
we'll be
wow.
back to hotel backgrounds unless we get something together behind us here. But y'all know I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to record because again, it's been a month of Sunday since we've been on the mic, and especially with my
Absolutely.
esteemed co-host, my still my lower hand, no matter what.
Absolutely. Without question, man. Always a pleasure. I appreciate you. I appreciate being here in this space. And you know what? The break was cool too, because um, no matter what you do, how much you enjoy it, things can get stagnant if you don't take the proper time to step away for a while,
For sure.
and then step back in, kind of recharge your own battery. So it was, as Rachel said, longer than we anticipated. However, feel refreshed, like just to making notes for a movie. And the coach, I'm like, I haven't done this in quite some time, so it feels good. And not to mention, we are coming up on episode 100. So episode 100 should be by the end of this month. Because I think this is 97. This is 97. And then we got 98, 99, 100. We'll figure it out. I don't know.
6.
I don't know. I can't tell you. I can't. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, since we've been going, I mentioned best episode ever. Shout out to Spike and Chaz.
Yeah.
We're actually going to wrap that up and take it into its own feed. So best episode ever is going to turn into its own feed. We'll send out more information on that. Yeah. I've already told them though. I said, listen, I know we got a bunch of shows we can have conversations with. I said when it gets time to do Insecure, that's me and Ray P.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We got to do that. That's still something on the list that we got to do. Oh, speaking of, because when I tell you Spike's been hitting me up about this show every single day, me and Mo in the group chat. No. Oh. I told him you're probably watching, but I wasn't sure. Are you watching
The Women? 3 Women?
No. Why am I just Reasonable Doubt? Are you watching Reasonable Doubt?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay then. All right. Is it because he's been like, yo, you just start this show. So I told him I would start it tomorrow.
Start
He's raving about it.
Started. Yeah.
What are the shows you just mentioned though?
Okay, so I'm gonna make also look out for this on We Got Y'all once I get some fucking downtime. But if you really want to know, Bad Monkey on Apple.
Vince Vaughn.
Yes. My Brilliant Friend on HBO. It is in Italian, y'all. I cannot get enough of this show. It's on season 4, which will be the final season because it's based off a book, and that's it in the series. I started 3 Women on Stars, obviously on Hulu. How to Die Alone with our girl Natasha Rothwell. Only Murders in the Building. Obviously, Reasonable Doubt. Bel Air, which we're supposed to talk about, even still. Oh, We Got Y'all. Do I need to rewatch Bel Air? Probably, but
hey, we'll make it happen.
Yes, because I actually do really want to talk about it. I think those are the top shows that I'm watching right now. From It's back on MGM, formerly Epix, and I haven't started that yet, but I think it's season 3 that recently started back. I caught the last episode of Power on one of my insomnia binges, but I haven't actually watched part 2 of the final season other than the last episode or the most previous episode. I think the last episode is actually like coming on.
I might actually watch that once we finish.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna watch that as we finish. Yeah, so because Twitter, for some reason, when it comes to Power, they just have no regard for spoilers or anything. Sure. Like there's usually a rule, at least a 48 to 72 hour rule if you're gonna do that. I mean, like 12 hours after it's released, people are spoiling shit. So I'm like, let me watch this at midnight.
That's it. I'm trying to think of what else I'm watching. There's something else on Stars coming up. I think it's Le Maison, not Stars. Apple.
Stars original content is a little bit lagging.
Yeah, but so 3 Women, and it's got God, I can't think of her name. She's married to Kato from Underground, Alano Miller, with the real pretty gray eyes, brown skin.
I know the show you're talking about because it came on after I finished watching in the Blackening.
Exactly. That's how I ended up watching 3 Women. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not mad at this. But
DeWanda
Wise.
She was in the was she in the Kevin Hart movie Fatherhood or Father? I think she the love interest. I know she was in Harder They Fall.
Harder They Fall. She's Gotta Have It.
Yeah, She's Gotta Have It. I know her from that. The new Jurassic Fatherhood. She was in that. Yeah, so she's definitely got those mesmerizing eyes.
Oh God knew what he was doing, not giving me no crazy eyes. I wouldn't be nothing to play with.
What you mean? You already ain't nothing to play with. What you talking about?
I'd be way worse. I'd be a menace to society.
Oh shit, I'm weak.
Talk about hell on wheels.
Hey, God bless. God bless, man. God bless. That's a lot, man. That's a lot of good TV out there.
For
So
sure.
hopefully everybody, if you're looking for something to watch, check those out. I still have to watch all of those. I have to watch. I do want to watch Wolf. It should
Oh
be
yeah,
Wolf. I feel
wolves.
like it
Yeah,
should be, but it should be Wolves, right?
it
Like
should be
technically,
wolves,
but it's
and
called Wolves.
but it's called wolves. Yeah,
Okay, so I want to watch that.
I want to
So
watch
yeah,
that too. Mm. Shrinking is coming back next week. Oh, obviously Grey's Anatomy is back. Um,
Abbott's about to come back.
Abbott is back next week. So it's a lot coming down the pipeline, guys. So stay tuned to TV
Stay,
Land.
stay tuned. Check out the link tree. Like I mentioned, a lot of stuff going on. So instead of just running down here, just check the link tree. All of the stuff that Rachel or myself are a part of will be a part of that. You just click the link, take you right to the show. We'll be good to go from there. Also, remember to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. Anybody who loves movies to check us out here at the Culture Garden. I
For
guarantee it will
sure.
be a good time, good conversation. And yeah, hit us up, DM, email, comments, like be a part of the convo. You know, we'll read your stuff on air and share these conversations about these films with you. As always, there will be spoilers and explicit content. And as you can see the title, today we are talking about The Blackening.
Crazy.
Absolutely, man. Synopsis of the film. 7 friends go away for the weekend and end up trapped in a cabin with a killer who has a vendetta. Will their street smarts and knowledge of horror movies help them stay alive? Probably not. Ray P, I mentioned that a few weeks ago. You hit me up, a completely different movie, completely different genre. And we
Yes.
even, we even kind of laughed about the one funny thing about doing this podcast is the movies are kind of chosen by mood. We never plan in advance. We don't look at it and say, all right, October, we're gonna do this, and this. The only time that really happens is if a sequel of a movie's coming out. Yes, February, or if a sequel's coming out and we say, all right, well, Bad Boys 4 about to come out, let's do Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's kind of like, and it's based off mood because once the scheduling kind of took that away, we time out. I'm sorry. I don't know how I missed this. I'm crazy.
Uh-oh.
When Rachel and myself were going, not only did we do best episode ever, but there was a Culture Garden takeover.
Yes.
Shout out to Maurice.
Shout out to Mo.
Maurice, shout out to Mo, man.
Maurice
If Maurice Hunt the third, if you listen to the episodes, it was did a little voice acting on there. The whole premise of somebody broke into the studio, like pretty much like, hey, we tired of waiting on Rich and Ray P. we gonna break into the studio and we gonna make our own episode. So Maurice and Ashley did You Got Served. And that's Ashley is his sister. Shout out to So Far Pod, a podcast that they have. And then for those of you who didn't hear, Blue Streak was the return to school.
Hey.
School was on the episode with Maurice. He was supposed to be security, making sure nobody got in the studio. And of course, he got talked into doing an episode since it's been so long. But shout out to School. He was on Another Week in the Books.
Yep.
And yeah, he was on Another Week in the Books. And I know a lot of people, we haven't talked about it directly, but he has now since shared his story and his journey with substance abuse. And kind of the reason why he hasn't been around. I thought it was an incredible episode.
Phenomenal. I need to text him. I just listened to it the other day in the airport and I was like, oh my God, this was so good.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that I didn't know about. I even mentioned there were some things like after that conversation, I was like, man, I kind of felt like an asshole for not picking up on a lot of these things. Or maybe it was by choice. Like maybe I chose not to see some of the things. But either way, the headspace that he's in right now, even listening to him on that episode with Mo, you can tell he sounds different. I don't. Him and I have already talked about this. There's no like timetable for School coming back. Like he's got a lot of other things that he's working on and focusing on. So I would never want to put that on his shoulders. He knows that whenever he wants to talk about something, and I know there's certain movies that I wouldn't feel right doing without School. So that time will come, but I just want to let people know who are listeners to us and who have been thinking about School, praying for School. He's received those. Check out that episode because he'll tell it for himself, everything that he's been going through, and it's just very encouraging. And Ray P and myself will continue to hold it down. But School will be back episode 100. That's another reason why he was a part of the takeover. Kind of wanted to get his feet back wet just a little bit before we do that, because it wouldn't be right to do 100 without him. So yeah,
Exactly.
I don't know how I missed that, but I have to shout them out for that.
For sure, for sure. And I kept, as I was listening, I was like, oh, this is good. It's good to hear School sounding good, sounding like himself. I'm excited. I'm happy for the good brother School.
Absolutely.
School in the building. That's what's up.
What's happening? Yeah, man. Shout out to School. So going back, Rachel, I mentioned how picking these movies, it can be a crapshoot. I could feel like doing this movie today and then another movie tomorrow. So you scrapped the idea for now. I'm sure we'll go back to it, but for now, you scrapped the original movie and you decided to want to discuss The Blackening. What made you want to choose this movie?
When I tell you, it was so fucking random. So I'm sitting working in front of my computer and I got the TV on as background noise. And The Blackening was on, but it was about to go off. And I didn't turn it on. I didn't click it. One, because you guys know I'm not a horror girl. But something just said, fucking watch The Blackening. And I'm so happy that I went back and watched it because this shit is so silly and ridiculous. And I love it. So
Was that your first time?
that was my first time. I've never
Oh,
seen this shit. Yeah.
oh, this is fun. All right, bet.
I've never seen this shit again. And I just rewatched it again on the plane in preparation to come in here. Like, this shit is so silly.
So I'm curious because that is not your lane. When you said it, I was a little bit surprised, but I thought you saw it in the theaters, because if you saw it in the theater, I'll talk about it when we get the first experiences. That's interesting. All right, cool.
Literally,
what made you just say, you know what, let me watch this?
I don't know. I was hitting guide, and when I got down to stars, because yes, I still have cable.
So do I. So do I.
So when I got down, I was like, fuck it, The Blackening. I'm gonna watch it. Like, it just is what it is. I remember the promo run, but I was like, I'm not going to see that shit. It sounds dumb. It's like, it sounds funny, but stupid. So
Yeah.
no, and it is that, but also good, but
Yeah.
very, very funny and ridiculous. Which
Because it's very black.
Niggas. So here we are, and I would love that. I could see our friend group being
100%.
these niggas.
100%. 100%.
Caught up in some bullshit, trying to be different, dare to be different,
100%.
Yeah, that was it. It was totally, totally, totally random. Just, I saw the name come across the screen. I was like, fuck it. Let's do The Blackening.
I love that. Even when you told me, I thought you had seen it. So we'll like I said, we'll talk about it.
Seen it when I text you that.
Okay. That's even all right. Cool. I love first experiences. We'll talk about first experiences here in a second. Well, you kind of did, but I'll talk about mine when we get there. I do want to discuss some stats about the film. So it premiered at the 2022 Toronto International Film Festival on September 16th. Shout out to Big Sis. That's her birthday. And it released in theaters on June 16th of 2023. Shout out to Moms. That's her birthday. Wow. I know, right? Crazy. The day prior to the release was the premiere. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put that in there. Ignore all that. But either way, that's when it released. It was directed by Tim Story. We covered Barbershop. He directed Barbershop. And he also directed Think Like a Man, which we haven't discussed yet.
February.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm about to say we haven't discussed that. It was tossed around for Romance Month. We haven't gotten there, but I think it's about due. He directed Think Like a Man 2, directed both ride-alongs, and he did direct Taxi. Your facial expressions are hilarious. He directed Taxi as well, which, whatever. I just always say that because School loves that fucking movie. Queen Latifah, Jimmy Fallon, like, whatever. And he directed the 2019 version of Shaft. The screenplay was written by Tracy Oliver and Dwayne Perkins. Tracy Oliver,
our girl.
Speaking of We Got Y'all, the creator of Harlem. Listen, I've seen some of the additions to the cast for season 3. I'm anxiously awaiting a release date. It's funny we mentioned Harlem because Grace Byers is in this, and I'm still not over Run the World being canceled.
Oh God, don't get me started.
But either way, that's for another time. Season 3 will be covered of Harlem. That's what I wanted to say that for. She
Mhm.
also wrote Girls Trip and Little.
Mhm.
Dwayne is also a writer, and obviously he stars in this film as Dwayne.
Mhm.
Not sure what the budget was for this film, but I know it grossed $18.1 million worldwide and a
Wow.
$6 million. Yeah, I know, right? Not bad for like an independent movie that was
Mhm.
created from a short. $6 million opening weekend. Opened up at number 6 in the box office behind The Flash, Elemental, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Transformers: Rise of the Beast, and The Little Mermaid. And it was in theaters for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
Currently streaming on Stars. So if you have cable, like myself and Ray P, or you just have the streaming app, go ahead and check that out. As far as awards go, it had 8 nominations and 1 win. Nominated for the as far as the NAACP Image Awards, it was nominated for the Outstanding Breakthrough Creative for Dwayne Perkins and Outstanding Ensemble Cast in a Motion Picture. No winners. The Black Reel Awards, our friends, Black
Our
Reel
friend.
Awards. It was nominated for Outstanding Ensemble Cast, Outstanding Breakthrough Performance. Now, if I ask you who was nominated for the Outstanding Breakthrough Performance, who do you think it was? What actor out of the
Clifton.
ensemble? No,
Clifton or Dwayne.
it was Dwayne.
Okay.
Dwayne Perkins.
Mhm.
And it won a reframe stamp. We talked about the reframe awards. Just they focus on movies who have pretty much minority or underrepresented groups,
Mhm.
either as a director, actors, all that stuff. It won the award for that. And cast: Grace Byers is Allison, Jermaine Fowler is Clifton, Melvin Gregg is King, Ex Mayo is Shanika,
Mhm.
Dwayne Perkins is Dwayne, Antoinette Robertson is Lisa, Sinqua, I think that's how you say his name, Sinqua Walls as Namdi or Namdi. They pronounce
It
it
might be.
both ways. You say what?
It might be Cinque.
Cinque? It might be. I should have. Yeah. You know who
Amen.
you are. You know who you are. Uh, Jay Farrow as Sean, Yvonne Orgy as Morgan, and Diedrich Bader as Ranger White. White.
White.
Um, I only want to shout him out. Well, not only because I enjoy him and some of the stuff he does, but
Mhm.
he was in the 1993 film Beverly Hillbillies, the old show from the 60s. They made into a movie in '93. Don't ask me why, but we had that on VHS when I was a kid, and I used to watch that all the time,
Okay.
all the time. So every time I see him, think that was Jethro Clampett, whatever. So
Mhm.
shout out to him. Ray P, I
Yes.
know it was your first time watching. I know it might not even be a fair question. Classic or not?
It's not. It has the potential to be a classic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been added to my repertoire. I'll tell you. I
Mm-hmm.
This shit is so ridiculous. I love it.
It is.
And excuse me, Ex Mayo is also a big part of why I watched it.
Okay.
Um, Only because even though I didn't watch it in theaters, sorry. Um, she was on an episode of Watch What Happens Live, maybe on the promo run for this, but I know her from American Auto, and I was like, I'm kind of obsessed with her. And so I was pleasantly surprised. I'm shout out to her because she was more the draw for me to watch than any of the other actors, even the familiar faces.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that because I wasn't familiar with her.
Hmm.
However, I'm a fan of hers.
Yeah.
After watching this, because that character, right? We see that character in different forms, whether it is Tiffany Haddish in Girls Trip, whether it is
Natasha
Angie and
Rothwell.
Natasha Rothwell, and Angie and Harlem. I think Natasha and Ex Mayo, that's what I want in that role,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you can be. It didn't feel like they were being anything extra than who they were,
Yeah.
and just cool ass funny people. Like you know what to expect with them. Whereas some of these other roles, like I said, no shade or diss, it just seems like a little bit over the top.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
but for she landed it very well. As somebody who's just not a fan of extra,
Yeah.
like I appreciate her extra. I appreciate Natasha Rothwell's extra
Mhm.
when it comes to that. So shout out to them. Absolutely. Absolutely. As far as the origin of I guess I didn't answer. I agree with you, Rachel. Not there. I've always said 3 to 5 years, really 5 years until you can really start talking about a film being classic. Um, I was thinking about this the other day too, just randomly to myself. I can't remember the last like instant classic I've seen. I can't remember the last time I went to the movies and was like, "Oh, that's a classic," or "That's going to be a classic in a few years." And maybe more so with television, but I can't remember the last film I've actually sat down and said, "Oh, snap."
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and I don't know. The state of the Hollywood and the film world is all kind of crazy, but I think it has potential. I definitely remember enjoying this a lot when I saw it in the theaters. Before we talk about first experiences, I just want to talk about the origin a little bit. We mentioned Tracy Oliver and Dwayne Perkins. They wrote the script based on a short that was written by Three Pete. So Three Pete is like this improv. I think they're Chicago based. Dwayne is a part of that. And they've got a few other people that you might recognize. But he wrote it in 2018, and the film kind of came. It was announced in 2020, and they started writing it and made it into a feature film. After the Toronto Film Festival in 2022, Lionsgate approached them. They acquired the distribution rights for just shy of $20 million. Shout out to them. Took 21 days to shoot. So I can't imagine the budget was too large because it was only a 3-week shoot, and it made sense. Ensemble cast, it just played out perfectly.
He didn't want a
Little,
Tyler Perry shooting schedule.
yeah, you feel me? You feel me? I wouldn't be surprised if they shot it at Tyler Perry Studios.
No, for real. 30 in and out.
Of course, like anything else, it did not come without a little bit of controversy. So Zahara, Ariel, and Jariah Bobo, if I mispronounce your names, my apologies. They claimed the movie was an infringement on their screenplay that they have titled Southern Education, and I think they created a card game, which most people have heard of, Black Card Revoked. And they pretty much claimed that this screenplay was an infringement on their rights. They attempted to have the release of the film delayed once it got picked up by Lionsgate, and a California judge said, "Listen, there's nothing that you presented to us to make us think that this is a stolen product. This is something that just happens. It's rare." I just talked about this, like I said, on Another Week in the Books. So it's funny this is being brought up. It's very rare for somebody to have a solo idea in their head. Like usually, it's just about who executes it first and best.
Yeah.
But there's way too many people in the world for you to say like, "Oh, this idea is I'm the only person thinking about this." So yeah, there just wasn't enough there, and they went ahead and rejected the bid to have the copyright infringement. There have been talks of a sequel. Rachel, I'm just curious to know if you'd be interested in that.
Yes. I don't know what it would be, but yes. I'm in.
So I am too, because it was. I think Dwayne said he kind of envisioned it as like a scary movie franchise, like the Wayne scary movies and Knives Out type of thing, like one of those type of sequences. I have no idea, like you said, what the movie would be about, but I'm in the theater if it does come out.
For sure.
So we talked about first experiences. Rachel, you went through yours. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I'm not gonna hold you. In the lowest of keys, the first watch, I was a little scared.
Like of the movie? Like you were nervous about what's gonna happen? Yeah.
When I turned it on, I was like, oh
yeah.
my God, I'm nervous. I'm anxious. And I knew it was a comedy, so I knew it would be funny. But I don't do scary movies. And I low-key was thinking after watching this about doing the spooky season October type situation. But what would I do that I would actually watch? So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll kick around some ideas, but that's it. The first time I watched it, I was watching it in the dark and I was scared when it first started. But beyond that, it's not super scary, like suspenseful. But that's it. It's more comedic after the first 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. It's got me. It's made a fan of me, though. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. It's good to remember that this film was it's a Juneteenth film.
Yes.
It really is. And I think when you remember that, it makes it easier to, all right, this isn't it. We're not here for me to be scared, because I'm the same way as you, Rachel. I've said it before. I don't understand y'all niggas who enjoy or pay money to be frightened. Like that's never gonna make sense to me. Haunted houses never make sense to me. Like I'm way too anxious and paranoid for that shit.
But for me, I don't know what the shift was because I used to very much be a haunted house, haunted hayride. Fremont, Ohio used to have the big cornfield thing. I would
See,
go to that all the time as a kid. So I don't know what shift maybe.
hey, you stupid, man. I told y'all, man, it's late. Bear with us. You did that shit in real time too. Hey, you a nut. You something wrong with you. Maybe we found out. Maybe it's because you found out life is scary enough as is.
That's
Right?
gotta be it.
Yeah, but life is scary enough. I don't need no extra scary shit. This shit is a wrap. The older you get. My first experience, Rachel, I saw this in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you it was one of my favorite movie theater experiences in the
Okay.
past 4 or 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a quote. I forget the writer, but I know they were writing for IndieWire, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a quote that I think is it sums it up. There is no toning down blackness or explaining things to white audiences. If you don't know how to play spades or what the Black Anthem is, ask a friend.
That part.
Um, and that was one of the favorite things about it, because the one thing I love about these smaller films that
Mm-hmm.
kind of are like a word of mouth, there's not a ton of promo. You're not seeing commercials for them really. It's more
Mm-hmm.
so, okay, I'm a fan of black people and films, so I'm gonna go see this.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're in for,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know what kind of audience is going to be there. So when I went, I was in the same row as this white couple. It was date night for them, and I
Mm-hmm.
never forget it. And I remember certain moments that were just black as shit, and
Yeah.
laughing out loud, and other black people in the audience laughing out loud and looking at them, and them like kind of looking at each other like, okay, then this is a cue to laugh. And them
Yeah.
just not knowing some of the black, like, I just love our culture and how
For sure.
no matter where you are, like no matter what part of the country if you're a black American, like there's certain things that just connect. Like
Yeah.
having the plastic bags under the sink in the kitchen, like that's just a black thing, and it's
Yeah.
hard to explain it. I have no idea why that's a black thing and how it's nationwide, like, and why you look at people a certain way, or just the whole spades conversation, or just even them using movie quotes. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, nigga. Uh,
Nigga, indeed.
yeah, I was gonna spare you. I was gonna spare you. I wasn't even gonna say shit.
I came fully prepared once we got to it to discuss. I've already said it on here, so it's not a secret that
Which
I
I
am
don't.
a black person who cannot play spades. The only
Which
card games, not Uno, that I can play is Speed, and I declare war. So I I don't know.
we'll talk about it, because we played way too many spades in college just for you not to know how. I just don't understand how that happened.
And what was I doing? Making drinks.
There you go. Hey, there you go. There you go. That's fair. That's fair. Um, but that theater experience was just, I think, not knowing what to expect made it that much better.
For sure.
And I will say this: it felt good to see like a new wave of Black Hollywood.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was another thing
For
that really stood out. It didn't, obviously you had a couple names, and even the intro scene, you got the joke between Jay Farrell and Yvonne Orji, like,
sure.
the theory that they had. We'll talk about it in scenes, but outside of Jeremy Fowler, and I know Sinqua, well, like I said, I don't want to mess up his name again. Sinqua Walls, I know him from Power. He was on the first couple seasons of
Um,
Power. Yeah, I know he has that. He also had a movie with Christina Milian on Netflix. I forget the name of it, but outside of that, I'm not really sure what else he's been in. Who else? Melvin Gregg. If you watch Snowfall, Man Boy, I think I first saw Melvin Gregg during COVID. There was a movie called High Flying Bird.
mhm.
Steven Soderbergh directed it. It was like a straight to Netflix joint. And I remember wanting to watch it because, if I'm not mistaken, they shot that entire film on an iPhone.
Mm.
And that was the reason that I was intrigued by it. And that was a good movie as well. And Grace Byers, of course, because of I know her from Run the World. I know she's been in other things as well. And then Jeremy Fowler,
Harlem.
who?
Grace Byers.
No, Grace Byers was on Run the World. No, she's Harlem. I'm tripping. Who am I thinking of? Why am I thinking that? Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I see. When I said it earlier, I'm
Mhm.
glad you corrected it. Earlier, I said something about Run the World. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Harlem. Um, And then Jeremy Fowler, I've seen him, Sorry to Bother You, all types of different stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, they're not like full blown household names. I am a big Melvin Gregg fan and the other cast in here. And it just felt good to see new faces. And they're like, all right, then cool. Like, I think a lot of these people are talented and can carry movies if the time be. And I, like you said, ensemble cast, I can definitely see this going somewhere again if they brought them all together. So
sure.
Great movie experience for me. I got a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
Did you know the answers to the game?
I knew. Okay.
Did you know the second verse of the Black National Anthem?
Come on. It's only the road we tried. I have a Baptist hymnal in my living room. Come on.
Yeah. Minor in Africana Studies, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
That I did know. The living single friends was a trick question, but I did know all of those except for Janet Hubert. I couldn't remember. I didn't know that she was on there because I wasn't a huge Friends person, but I did watch an episode or two.
I still never seen an episode of Friends. I know obviously I know Friends. I know the names. I know who they are, but I've never sat down and watched an episode start to finish. I can never lie and say, oh yeah, remember the episode when Joey did this? Like I had no idea. Have no idea.
But I went to elementary.
And shout out to the white living single.
For sure. Maybe. What else? What were the other questions?
Did you know the season that they replaced dark skin Aviv with light skin Aviv?
I thought it was season 4. So I would have got that.
Season 4 is when light skin came in.
Came on. Okay. I would have said I thought 4 seasons of dark skin and Aviv.
Got you. So it was 3. I think they had the name 15 Black Inventions.
I could do.
Yeah, so there were a lot of questions that were. I was thinking like, all right, then I might have been all right. I might have been surviving.
Cool.
The one thing I was like King when they talk about the Nas lyric, and I'm like, yeah, look, we dying if y'all niggas expect me to answer that. Shout out to Nas, but I'm a Nas, yeah. Hey, gotta thank the little homie Nas for that though. Yeah, so and shout out to Nas, man. I listen to Nas, but I'm more like I like his newer stuff more than his older stuff. I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you.
It's a whole Avenger, so
yeah, straight up, man. Internet got they trying to they're trying to take my boy down.
Crazy.
Do you miss when Juneteenth was just for us?
Tricky. Yes. But I also appreciate the day off. But I could just use a personal day.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. I remember I guess it's starting to become the norm. But when it first started, I was like, I do not like this. I do not like this weird
notification.
I don't like the Juneteenth emails that I'm getting from. Yeah, I'm what? Like, what are we talking about? Like, y'all niggas.
Yeah, y'all wild.
Kind of chicken. Yeah, y'all wild out there, man. That's all I got to say about it. But shout out to Juneteenth, man.
Shout out to Juneteenth. Shout out to Texas.
Celebrating. Shout out to Texas. I think now for me, like Juneteenth is a celebration. Like, I don't hit me like 4th of July just for the day off. Like, I don't care about no fireworks, no none of that. But Juneteenth, I'm down. There's always been a lot of good Juneteenth celebrations, and I can always appreciate that. But yeah, I do remember the times when it was just for us. Yeah. I remember when some niggas didn't know what Juneteenth was. And I'm like, what?
For sure.
Absolutely. Movie Poster Hall of Fame. Does this qualify?
It's a good cover, but no.
Yeah, it's a good cover. It ain't Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about best scenes. So this was kind of tricky because it's not one of those films, and we've discussed films like this on here where there aren't like necessarily standout blow away scenes. It's more of a movie as a whole, and just the whole experience is what you enjoy. Going to what you said, well, I'll get there. Let me start with the intro scene. Yeah, I just like the setup, right? because
Sure.
it felt like a horror movie. You in the woods, got the Juneteenth celebrations. You have two names that we know, so Yvonne
Mhm.
Orji and Jay Farrow. Like I said, they kind of making the play of black people always dying, or at least being the first one to die in a horror movie.
Mhm.
I always, when they talked about Scream 2, I always thought the studio didn't have the budget to keep them the whole movie. And then
Mhm.
there's that silent pause and stare at each other because obviously that was going on.
Right.
Um, Side note: those two only spent 2 days filming on
Yeah.
this movie, so makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
Um, but more and all, it kind of sets up the foundation for what you're going to get into in this racist ass game or the whole Sambo
Yeah.
game.
Mhm.
But for me, the movie was just about college friends getting back together. Like they
For
mentioned,
sure.
it's been 10 years, and we get to hang back. We got everybody together. You know, if anybody has a group of friends, whether it's college, elementary, whatever, as a full adult, you know how difficult it is to get everybody together. I'm not
For
saying a lot
sure.
of y'all don't kick it, but to get everybody there, that's a big deal.
For
It's a
sure.
big deal, and I appreciated that. You mentioned that you could see our friend group doing that, and I
Oh,
saw the same thing.
yeah.
It'd be nonsense. It'd be nonsense.
It would be total nonsense. And you know what? To the point of Yvonne Orji and Jay Farrow, they are the big names in this movie. So again, to the fact that they only had 2 days worth of shooting and the first 15 minutes of the movie, that makes total sense. And it's funny when we think about the line of Jada and what's her face?
Omar Epps.
Omar Epps, them not being able to afford them, to keep them on for the duration of the movie. So I thought that was good. So again, the Sambo scene, it made me immediately think of the movie Bamboozled. I don't know if you have
Absolutely. Spike Lee. Yeah, absolutely.
of course, but to our audience, check out Bamboozled with Damon Fine Ass Wayne's. Um
Underrated. Like really slept on movie. Like as a matter of fact,
slept on
put
movie. We
put
gotta
a
do it.
yeah, we gotta do Bamboozle. Yeah, absolutely.
We
I
gotta
remember when that came out.
for sure. I just really, really loved it. And when you think about the iconography of Sambo in this black horror film, pretty dope concept. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
amazing concept. And I appreciate the fact that niggas don't take anything serious because first off, I wouldn't be playing this game if I found it, but also not knowing that their lives were in fact in danger because nigga, how you know we got the answer wrong,
Yeah.
So typical nigga response, which I appreciate, which unfortunately led to Sean's untimely demise. But
Absolutely. You knew it was coming. Once they set up the foundation of they didn't have the budget, I'm like,
mhm,
oh yeah, these niggas out of here
they gonna
early.
die. That's it.
And they weren't a part of like the main cast. So when I saw them, I remember being in the theater like, damn, Yvonne Orji in this, Jay Farrell in this. And then I
Yeah,
was like, okay, then they played a brilliant like uh uh use of the black trope of
for
the horror
sure.
movies. Absolutely, man. And then that leads me into character intros.
Mhm.
I'll let you talk about it because I'm sure you might have had this down. Dwayne, Lisa, and Allison driving in.
Mhm.
That just felt like a real friend moment.
For sure. For
Um,
sure.
because there's one thing we talk about this all the time. Even when you have large friend groups, there are the groups within the groups, and you could
Absolutely.
tell they talk all the time. And obviously, Dwayne and Lisa are like tight,
Yes.
because of everything that they went through, and you can hear it in their relationship throughout college with Namdi and all of that. But the tricky situation of the famous black question, who all gonna be there,
Period.
and not knowing.
Lying about your
I'm
man.
thinking
My
about. I'm thinking. Not wanting to tell somebody that X, Y, and Z is gonna be there because if you say something, then that other person's not gonna show up.
period. Especially when it's your nigga that everybody hates.
Funny,
That is
funny little
also
thing.
randomly in the friend group to a
Mhm.
degree. Which I appreciate that the only person who was essentially funny acting towards Namdi was Dwayne. And again, that speaks to the level of the relationship between Dwayne and Lisa because we think it's thieves. Everybody else, there's a different understanding. Your girls kind of tend to be a bit more forgiving especially if y'all are cool and Ms. was were cool outside of this relationship. Like, don't fuck shit up, but you
Yeah,
cool,
because
whatever.
you could tell he was cool with. He's in the friend group because he was with her in college, not because he was running with them all the time. Like you, all right, we going to this event, we going to this party. That means you with me.
Right.
And you could tell he built relationships over time, but I don't think he was embedded in that actual group. And you could tell
Correct.
by Dwayne's reaction, but he was on nobody else was tripping. Even Allison, when she talked to him, was on some like, listen, like, not saying, just saying, like, don't break her heart, bro. Like, and that's how it kind of should be. It shouldn't be no ultimate threat or nothing. It's just like, listen, you know, that's my girl. Like, I know what y'all been through before. Like, if y'all gonna do this, y'all gonna do this. I ain't even about to talk about it, but
Yeah,
I'm just letting you know, man. She fuck with you. Like, make sure you sure. If you
for
don't
sure.
say you sure if you ain't sure.
If you ain't sure, that's it. And then I guess we can stay in character. Intro. So that meeting, did we meet Shanika and Clifton first or after the initial group?
Yeah. So after the three of them, I
We
think
get to
they
the store.
go. I think we get the three of them. Then they make it to the house, and King is talking to the park ranger, and
Okay,
then we get to Clifton and Shanika.
got it. So we know King is thugnificent,
Reformed.
reformed
Right.
thugnificent, dealing with the white cop, typical. But shout out to Lisa, the lawyer, for coming through with the documentation necessary. And I fully believe that the Connors did only rent to white families, hence all the Confederate memorabilia. At the grocery, or not the grocery store, the mini mart, we meet Shanika getting her wrap snacks. Shout out to wrap snacks.
Shout out to Rap Snacks, man.
Shout out to Percy Miller
With a dab of ranch.
with a dab of ranch. Oh, amigos.
I know, man.
And
But nah, Frodo, time out, Rachel. Shout out to Percy, man. I want to give him his flowers because
for sure.
before that was even way back, he made sure Romeo had his snacks.
That's it. That's it. Fathers doing fatherly things. And then we meet Clifton, who, okay. Was Clifton invited?
Of course not. Because
Clifton
who
did
would have
not
invited
get
him?
invite. But
Matter of
how would
fact,
he know about it?
that's one of the that's a great question. That's one of the things that bothers me. It's
Okay.
actually the only thing that I actually have written down for things that bother
Okay.
me is, and it makes sense, so it doesn't bother me that much because when you have a friend group that large, you just go ahead and assume somebody invited them. But in real life, I'm like, who invited this nigga? Because I would have been like King. Like, that happens to me all the time. We talked about John Paul. Shout out to my brother JP,
Fine.
our brother JP.
Mhm,
But literally 5 days ago, this
mhm.
nigga was talking to me. He was like, "Hey, I talked to such and such a day. Apparently, da 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 da. And she da 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 da." I'm like, "Bruh, I don't know who the fuck that is, man." He was and he was like, "Yes, you do." He said, "I might." I said, "I probably do if I seen her, but you giving me first and last name, bro. I don't know who that is."
No idea who that is.
I would have been like, "King, bro. I don't know that nigga. Like, I don't know who y'all talk about." So I don't know who would have. I would have assumed that one of y'all, out of one of y'all 7 or 8 niggas here,
Right.
invited him, and I just probably would have just talked it up. Like, all right, whatever. But I don't. That's a great question. I don't know how he knew.
Location. That's the only thing, because if he spent 4 years in jail, spoiler alert. I don't think we did our disclaimer. But
I
if
think we
you
did.
okay. If you spent years in jail, do you still have the same email from college?
But would he have even been on the email thread?
Exactly. That's what I don't know. Where did you get this e-bike?
And he okay, hold on. So now, all right, hold on. Let's dig into this a little bit deeper. Who
Mm-hmm.
booked the house?
I,
Because he made the deal with the owners of the house to kill them.
mhm. I thought Molly booked it. Not Molly, Morgan.
Nah, I definitely want to call her Molly as well because Dwayne made a point when they parked. He said she got money. We could have done a resort, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming they were talking about Morgan when he said that. That he didn't say a name, but it would have made me think that. But that's got to be an elaborate plot to coincidentally book this house, and then Clifton finds out who they are, finds out they don't like black people, and then pays them to kill the black people that's come. That just seems like a lot. I know we're we're going way too deep into this. But it does make you wonder because there's always that's one of the things I love about the film, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
When you have those friend groups, you know the person that don't belong, and like who invited this
Who
nigga?
the fuck invited you? Exactly. So my thought was that Clifton met one of the brothers in jail, and
That makes
they
sense.
formed a bond. And obviously, I'll hire you to do X, Y, Z. We get to talking. Oh, you got a cabin in the woods. Oh, I know these niggas do Juneteenth every year, but I just can't figure. I couldn't figure out how he got in the know of the reunion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they knew him, but you could tell they knew him, but it was like, bro, you know, we ain't, nigga.
You wouldn't be with us.
Yeah, we weren't invited. Like, I know you, but I don't know you.
Because he was never included in the list. If you remember, he wasn't included in the names of the people that they were expecting.
Right.
Sean Morgan King,
Remember
Dwayne, Allison,
Lisa,
Lisa,
Shanika.
and Shanika. 7. That's all they were expecting. They said, oh, 8, Namdi. So where this nigga from? You wouldn't know nobody's list or expectation.
That's why I chalk it up to somebody it must have been one of them situations, almost like Shanika in that gas station. Like I just ran into this nigga, told him we here, and he followed along. But he told her that you ain't up here for this, like because they in the middle of nowhere. It's almost like, bro, that's the only reason you here for.
Yeah.
But nobody did the math. I think that's the one thing I would say. If our friend group was up there, somebody we know but don't know, which one of y'all niggas invited them? Like, how would you? Or knowing some of the personalities, we would have asked that person straight up, like, who told you about this?
Exactly. And they did. He said Morgan invited me, but did she?
But that's smart because he probably knew that's part of the
Morgan is
plan.
Mm-hmm.
So she ain't gonna be able to confirm this shit anyway.
Uh-huh.
But hold on, now that I'm thinking about it, that number 8 don't add up, right?
No,
Unless we are the because Morgan and Sean. Okay, Morgan and Sean are included in that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm about to say they weren't there. All right, yeah, you're right. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting stuff. But we've all been there. Like, who invited this nigga, man? Who we with, man? Whose man's is this?
Whose man's is this? So all of that. Character intros, we just did all of that. My next thing is King and his Kool-Aid, just because this is a Black movie. Niggas making red Kool-Aid with a diabetic amount of sugar. So much sugar, you're going to get a cramp. That's just typical, funny, ridiculous bullshit. And realizing that you put too much sugar, but also living with the lie. So never backing down from it. So shout out to King for that and his cool
Because it makes you do
nigga. No, it does not. No, it doesn't.
If you react to your Kool-Aid like you drinking liquor, then you know something wrong. Like you should never take a sip and do it. You should never do that. Something's wrong.
That's too much. Niggas definitely caught cramps. But the biggest, not biggest, but the next thing that I care more about other than the Kool-Aid was King and Namdi's conversation.
Probably my favorite scene in the movie.
Huh?
Probably my favorite scene in the movie.
Oh, well, go ahead.
It's funny because I've been King and I've been Namdi.
Of course.
I've been King and I've been Namdi. And we talked about the whole aspect of not hanging out in 10 years and just seeing your friends and catching up. That's just a real thing. And as you're excited to be together, the group gets a individual, one-on-one time or whatever, and they ever talking. King or Namdi's talking about, I'm seeing this girl now, and it said, only one? Yes, only one. So once again, lays the foundation. I know you, nigga. Like, I've been on you. Like, don't front. He was like, I'm a new man. You know what I call that? Delusion. Because he was going to use the Kelly from Insecure Growth. No, delusion. He said, you've been saying the same thing every 2 years since we met. You do some fuck shit, you feel bad, you reflect, you become a new man. But then the new nigga do some fuck shit, and the whole cycle just start over again. If that ain't the truth, that's just hilarious, man. The new nigga do some fuck shit, and now we back in this whole cycle. And then he leaned up and said, "This time is different." He said it in unison with them. Like, nigga, I know your whole routine, bro. I've been telling you, said this literally every 2 years. I know exactly what's going on. You nigga, you.
For sure.
I love the fact that he was able to call him out on that. And, he's still a slave to the white man. Like, y'all gonna stop calling my wife a white man. Because there are niggas who marry white women, but they make the claim she ain't white. You know what I mean? Like, right. She Armenian. Like, all right, bro. Like, she white. She white, man. And that nigga said, man, she does. That bitch is dog kisses on the mouth, pumpkin spice latte, sweet Caroline, bye, white. And those are, if you listen, I don't know how many of y'all hang with white people, but those are 3 extremely white things. If you ever been to a bar and Sweet Caroline comes on,
don't play with it.
Yo, they do not fuck them. You might as well play Dreams and Nightmares or March Madness or something. That's the same type of reaction. Them niggas love that shit.
For sure.
They love that shit. So yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes. Just because there's nothing like knowing somebody. And not only knowing the good, but just knowing the bullshit. Like, bro, you ain't got a lot of me, bro. I love the fact that you try to believe this shit. I love the fact that you really are trying to believe this about yourself, but that ain't you, bro. I know you way too long.
Exactly. Niggas. They never change. We've touched on it already, but let's talk about spades because that is essentially the first team game after Morgan and Sean's death. Just because, shout out to Clifton for being brave enough to inquire about getting on the table. That's just not something, because I truly am a nigga indeed. I'm just not asking. I'm not getting on here. I'm not about to embarrass myself. And I understand he grew up in Vermont and the desire to truly want to know. But in the heat of the game, it's not the time to learn, baby. They will hurt your feelings every time. And you can't take it personal. You just got to live your life, find something else to do. But he didn't know that because he grew up in Vermont. And I think that's a failure on his parents' part because they should have told him, even if we ain't teach you how to play, somebody should have told you, hey, you just got to figure it out. If you don't want to, find something else to do, like make drinks.
Straight up. You better have some kind of skill set, make drinks, be in the cut, be funny, something.
Tell jokes. That's my other strong suit. That's it.
Tell jokes, man. Keep entertainment for the spades game because I don't know what it is about spades. Hey, it's ultra competitive and it's universal where nigga, no, I'm not teaching you how to play spades. Like, and to your point, Rachel, you walk into a room and somebody finds out you can't play spades. The whole room turn around. You don't know how to play spades?
Right.
They dog you for not knowing how to play, but they will refuse to teach you.
It ain't gonna teach you, so you better watch.
You gotta sit there and watch.
Actually, do I understand the rules? Yes. Am I getting on the table with y'all niggas in the heat of the moment? No.
It's pressure. It's pressure. That's a lot of pressure on the table. You talking about reneging and not knowing and making sure board talking. How do you play? You play Joker, deuce, ace. You play ace high. Like, it's way too much.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a lot of pressure because that shit is not like you. My sister, man, is one of the sweetest people in the world. I love my sister. Like, that's my dog. If we get in that, let me make a mistake on the spades table, man. She might not talk to me for a couple hours. Like, it gets real.
It gets
real. I can't believe, like, 3 years later, I can't believe you reneged on them clubs. Like, damn, nigga, that was 3 years ago.
Baby, I would just rather love you. Get it the fuck on.
Straight up. Because all it takes is one time. It takes one time to fuck up when somebody will be, I will never be your partner again. I'll never be your spades partner again.
That's it. I remember the one time I actually tried to learn. My brothers were playing. We were in the cruise term privilege. We was in the cruise. Don't nobody care if your privileged ass know how to swim.
Right.
We cruise terminal and getting ready to I can't remember if we were going or coming back. It must have been going. And my brothers were playing, and I'm like, can y'all teach me? I don't get it. Them niggas was like, no. The fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck we look like? Sit your ass, pull up a chair and learn.
No, them niggas was like, go home, Roger.
Hey man, that shit's hilarious because that's how it is.
And I was like, oh, okay, fuck it.
Hey, man, fuck y'all.
I don't care. I guess it's not meant for me to know. I'll be asking homeboy to teach me. He'd be like, bitch, no, not gonna do it. You an all-time shark. You ain't gonna teach me how to play this. Like, nigga, no.
It's I explain it. I explain it like when I talk to people about Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell people, man, if you missed Miami in your 20s, then don't go.
Don't go.
You missed it. You missed it. You missed the Miami aura. You missed what that was about. If you 35 trying to go to Miami for the first time, I'm not saying you want to enjoy it, but you miss Miami. You miss the Miami that we talk about.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how Spades is. Like if you don't know about it at a certain point, it's just you missed it.
It just is what it is. Be free.
Yeah. Play Tonk or something, man. Play Speed or Uno. You know, Uno go heavy in the streets.
It does, and they got new cards.
They got new shits, man. So, you know, tighten up on your Uno game. Learn how to play some dominoes.
That's not either. But
yeah, see, I fuck with dominoes too. Dominoes and spades are like you got
that's it. Dominoes get violent too. No, thank you.
Dominoes get, man, slamming the dominoes, motherfucker. Yeah, that shit. Mm-hmm. And then like slapping them cards on the table, talking shit. And shout out to the bunker. Shout out to the bunker, man. The old crib in college, man. The unofficial cool Alpha House. Yeah, the cool Alpha House, definitely for sure. Because I only shout out the bunker because it was one of those places. Still to this day, the only place I lived where every day I came home, I had I was about to open the door. I'm like, I have no idea who the fuck is in my crib right now. Mm-hmm. And it was a different face every single day.
Every time.
And usually that table in the living room by the kitchen, spades going on.
Spades going on.
You know exactly what's going on. You know exactly what time it is. I hear Gully loud ass talking shit to somebody. Like, just shout out to that whole experience. Like, that's why I think Rachel and myself really enjoy this movie, because a lot of the stuff they talk about, when Rachel said it, I can see our friend group. I can see all of that because I'm thinking about college days when niggas getting it in on spades and doing all this other stuff. So, yeah. Shout out to you, Rachel, for being brave enough to admit you don't know how to play spades.
Hey, it is what it is. You can't whip my ass. So, if you want to fight about it, okay. You're not gonna win.
I bet you this. I bet you this. I bet you can't beat my ass.
That part. But
hey, man.
Shout out to your college friends. You know, college days swiftly pass, and that's it for real. Shout out to the crew, all your crews, whichever.
Yeah, whoever they are, man. Shout out to them. Speaking of crews, I just want to throw out real quick, not really a scene, but just a theme. There was a moment when Nnamdi and Lisa were kind of right before the Molly kicked in, and she was like, man, I feel bad about not telling Dwayne. And Nnamdi said, or maybe you just don't want to admit that you outgrew your friends. It's another thing. That's another thing that is very relatable when it comes to knowing people for so long, that sometimes you just reach a point where it's like, man, I don't really. And I've said this before. It's not even like an issue. It ain't no beef. It ain't like I don't even fuck with you. Maybe a little bit I don't fuck with you, but not maliciously. I just don't. It ain't there. It ain't there no more. And that's cool. Like, we had our memories and ain't no issue. Let's leave on this high note and call it a day. But sometimes you do outgrow your friends, and
for sure.
It's one of those things that's hard to come to terms with, but it's a reality.
For sure. And outgrowing your friends is a very real thing, but you know why that was tricky? Because, nigga, do you truly think that I've outgrown him? Or is Dwayne the only one giving pushback on you being here and our relationship, whatever they think it is at this current juncture? So you trying to get my nigga out the way who ain't on your team? Tricky.
That is tricky. That's a very good point, because this is the only person in the way of me and you being, I don't even want to say happy. Let me back up something. This is the only person in the way of me being able to do what the fuck I want to do with you. And not gonna call me out or question me on my fuck shit.
That part.
And Dwayne if you look at it from his perspective, feels like he earned that right because every single time
Yep.
this nigga broke your heart. I was the one that had to be up till 2, 3 in the morning hearing you cry, doing whatever.
Yep.
Um, I think what do you say? I was like the gay side chick.
I was your gay side chick. Yep. And that's the thing. That's the difference when you have these relationships, your girlfriend and her gay male best friend. Like it can get tricky for men, and their allegiance is not to you. It's always going to be to the homegirl. And they can be honest and will be honest when we being delusional and being ridiculous, or if they are for the relationship. We saw King kind of just be like, oh, okay, nigga, whatever you own, it's cool. There's no pushback. There's no nothing. Not that he don't ride for Lisa, but it's not the same investment in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you learn the older you get, especially with. It sounds like there was a lot of breakup to makeup.
mhm,
And anytime I see breakup to makeup, I kind of just I have no comment on it because we see it right now with like Cardi and Offset. Like when people invite us into that, I never forget. I never forget when Baby and Lil Wayne were having their issues,
mhm,
right? And I remember 50 Cent saying something about like I'll never comment on that because I know their relationship is going to one day fix itself. Like the one day they'll reconcile, and
yeah,
when they do, they're gonna look at all y'all niggas who had things to say,
mhm,
and then y'all look funny. And that's
for
just one of
sure.
those things where you look at, you know what? I ain't got no comment on it, man. I'm gonna let y'all do what y'all do.
That's it. And I hate to admit it, but y'all fam, don't get in my motherfucking business. Even if I put you in, even if I
Yeah.
put you in there, there's just a certain level, and there are certain people, toxic or not, that you have relationships that it just is a back and forth until you're done. And just love me through it. That's it. Don't say
That's really
shit.
all. You ain't got to save everybody, man. Just love your people through whatever they got going on. Be an ear for them and call it a day. Because once you get involved in that web, then it's other shit. And now you're looking at somebody else funny because you know the certain moves. Like,
Mhm.
you know what? It's just too much. It's just
And
too
it don't
much. So,
have nothing to do with you. And once we reconcile, now you want to out looking dumb because now we don't fuck
mm,
with you like that.
exactly, exactly. That's why you know what. I'm gonna take
Just
my
that.
cue and I'm gonna call it a day. So yeah, that's a very interesting point you made about Namdi and his motive behind all of that because
Yeah,
that could very well be it. Because like you said, he was the only one. Everybody else was like, whatever, that nigga here.
that's it. He a tricky ass nigga. So we've already touched on it, but the first round of games when we asked it, we know the answers just because that was a great scene.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first watched it, I kind of raised the eyebrow a little bit, but I really noticed it. I guess after knowing what happens, is Clifton was geeked about the game. Like he was very much, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. What was his game piece? A square, or was it an actual die?
I think it was a die.
Mm,
I had that written down somewhere too, and it's funny because it was one of those things where if you paid attention, then you would have kind of known, like, hold on, how you get that? Because you weren't even supposed to be here.
be here.
Um, yeah, it was a die. It was a die
Okay.
piece.
Okay.
So that was kind of one of those indicators, like in all horror movies. There's little you never see it the first time, but when you rewatch it,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, I should have known the whole time.
For sure.
Um,
For sure.
so yeah, that the game portion of it and just that whole saga, I guess everything that goes on throughout the
The
whole
Morgan
them playing the
rescue.
game.
That.
Yeah, like even like Ranger White in the cookout. And
Mhm.
I brought that up because I've said this numerous times. I hate that cookout shit. Like
Yeah.
I despise it. Like I hate like anytime I learn a lot about people when they talk about inviting people to the cookout. It just
Mhm.
tells me, you can be the best person ever, but stop.
Yeah.
Um,
For
yeah.
sure.
And the whole is Ranger White really a part of this because very Scream like, I think the original Scream where you find the person has the mask and like, no, I know what it looks like, but and
Yeah.
the mask being a black face, like going back to that Sambo thing,
Yeah.
like that was kind of brilliant, but and I think that even goes into the one of the twins because they split up, which was they was
Yeah.
on some,
Well,
that's
hold
some
on. before we get there, I do want to highlight. So that's where they saved Morgan, and we realized that niggas will fight a killer no matter what to get to that girl. But also Clifton's exile and his confirmation of voting for Trump twice, and niggas being like, "Oh well, it is what it is." It was
Easy call.
easy call. He would have been the first choice to me, anyways, just because you are not in our friend group. And despite saying that you got the invite from Morgan, nobody is still quite clear on why you're here and who you are, because again, nigga, we ain't seen you in 10 years plus. You know, everybody else has talked and maintained contact, even if it's not kicking it. You are not supposed to be here. Get the fuck on.
Niggas don't even know your name, bro. Carlton. Wow, yeah, come on, man. And that nigga Dwayne said that shit so confidently too.
Gout. Hey, what's wrong with you?
Why would that nigga name be Gout, man? Like, come on, what are we doing?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
So like I said, I about to say, I just love the realness of King. That nigga just looking back like, nigga, I don't know that nigga.
That's it. Okay, so Officer White, that whole saga, because can we really trust this nigga? Who knows? The breakup of the two groups was interesting to me. Light skin versus dark skin.
Right, you feel me? So many hidden things in this film.
Yeah, and they said it like, of course, our black asses would be the ones, you know. A shout out to Shanika being the one who could swim.
Your privileged ass.
Are you showing arrows at me, nigga? That Allison killing the killer, but my girl was on that Adderall with them fucking arrows. Shout out to her. I will say, and we'll get to scene stealer, but I don't know if she's my scene stealer, but I like Grace Byers more and more the more I see her. Like, I want to be her friend.
Fuck with Grace.
Yeah, it's just something about her that I fuck with, even though these are characters, you know what I'm saying? But
right,
something about her in the roles is likable to me, and y'all know I don't feel like that about everybody.
Facts.
Lisa snapping. Actually, I have, after the light skin fight, King and their whole crew killing their killer, and then
hold on, real quick. I love that moment when he said, "Oh, you can't fight?
You can't fight."
Oh shit, nigga, say less.
If King wasn't already stabbed twice with the arrow, he could have got with homeboy.
There's something about just realizing in the moment, oh nigga, you can't even fight. Okay. Oh shit.
Come
it's over for you.
Man. Come on, dog. The other crew, the couple crew and Dwayne leaving him in the car while they went to safety in the house, and Dwayne calling that shit and checking that shit. That whole scene, them killing their killer, him throwing up. Oh my God, I was so grossed out.
Yeah, me too. He said it earlier. He said, I throw up when I get nervous.
Lisa snapping and finally getting like, hey, it is what it is. I'm about to get this nigga. And she kicked ass. Do you have anything else? Because that, the end of the movie.
Why black women always got to save everybody.
Clifton's
that's really it. The whole ending of the movie, Clifton's confession, them actually making it through and trying to figure out, like, all right, well, shit. Nigga, there's bodies in that house. Like, how do we get out of this without? And all right, so it's a joke, it's funny, but that's a real thought you got to have. Like, hold on, man, how do we explain this to where we don't end up in jail because we just sick niggas? And yes, we did have to kill 3 people, but for good reason. And are they gonna believe that? Like, it's just and like we gotta call the fire department, and even then they come and hose our black asses for being out here. And Dwayne with the outfit change, all of that. But I just thought the entire movie was just comedy and funny, and it wasn't to be taken too seriously.
It really was.
But yeah, even to set it off, like them quoting the Brandy song from "Set It Off" and the Sister Act 2. You know what I mean? If you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention.
Pay attention.
Like that's what I said when I say it's just super black and it
Yeah.
doesn't try to explain it. Like either you get it or you don't.
Either you get it or you don't. Just a silly ass movie. Clifton's confession, all of that. You want to jump into quotes? Even though I guess we kind of already said most of it.
Yeah, I got a couple quotes that I haven't said yet. Just real stupid, Jay Farrell. Is this Blade's house? Where's Wesley? I want to talk to Wesley. If it is, you know it ain't paid for. King, happy Juneteenth, Ranger White, because I just love randomly saying like happy Juneteenth and happy MLK Day to white people just to see their response. I get a kick out of it. This nigga Clifton had one of the funniest lines of the movie. I accidentally smelled some of the dick.
That's what I got. Oh my God. I tell you, that shit had me screaming. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Because
is silly.
I love how everybody knows what sex smell, walking into a room of sex, but not really even knowing how to describe it. I can't describe to you what it is, but you know it. If you smell it, you know, like, damn, what the fuck y'all just got doing?
Oh, you smell like dick.
I accidentally smelled some dick. Yeah. I love the accidentally part. Like, nigga, I wasn't even trying to, but damn, man, that shit coming off so strong. That shit just I got a whiff of it right there when you walked in. A little sneaking freak and shit, man. Hey, that shit's silly. That's probably the line of the movie on some real shit.
What? Okay, let me see what I got. At least Sambo don't renege. Hey, bitch, you gonna finish that quesadilla? I accidentally smelled some of the dick. You got Rosa Parks on your shirt. Would she be sitting down?
Exactly what she be doing right now.
No, for real. Grace Beyer, Allison, you got I'm scared of white people. Oh Lord, here it comes. Murder suicide. Man, what? You still a slave to the white man. We already said that. Clifton, maybe try your last name when they was calling for Morgan. I don't know why that shit had me wheezing. This Lorenz Tate chasing the train ass nigga. Again, this feels like the end of Set It Off. You are my sister, my strength and my pride. And nigga indeed. Well, I tell you, that nigga indeed had me in tears sitting on that fucking plane. You hear me?
That shit's silly as hell, man. That shit is funny. It's just black. Like I said, that shit is just hilarious because it's not written. That shit. That's one of the things about this film, Rachel. Majority of it was improvised.
For sure.
You know, I talked about it being it being a short, and Three-Peat, the company, they're an improv group. They're an improv comedy group. So it makes sense that a lot of it was just like, all right, if you was a nigga, because y'all hard niggas, if you was in this situation, what would you be doing? And it felt like that. It read like that. It read like finger group, nigga indeed, shit like that. Like even like Jeremy Fowler's Clifton, some of the lines he had were just hilarious to me. Especially them trying to get him up out of there, like all that shit, like just all of it. His confession, he was fed up. He was fed up with them niggas.
Is his mouth really twisted, or was that for the?
That's for the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for the movie. That's what makes it even more funny because that nigga does not. I'm sure everybody's seen the classic him and Lakeith Stanfield from Sorry to Bother You. The compliment scene.
That nigga. I was like, I know him. Okay.
A lot of people that passes around social media all the time with that compliment scene where they're going back and forth. But yeah, no, that was for the movie. But yeah, that's all I had for quotes. Who'd you have for scene stealer?
Okay. So I started off. Who is SS? Oh, scene stealer. I started. At first, I was gonna say Shanika or XO Mayo. Is that her name?
Yeah, or X Mayo.
That was what I was gonna say, but when I rewatched it, I had to say Clifton or Jeremy Fowler because it
might be Jermaine Fowler. My fault. I might have been saying his name wrong the whole time.
Oh, Jermaine.
Yeah, I think it's Jermaine Fowler. I'm double checking.
That nigga had
Yes,
me
Jermaine.
Jermaine, our bad Jermaine. That nigga had me wheezing the entire movie because again, I didn't know if his mouth was strokey or what. But
Strokey is crazy,
I
yo.
this his physical acting, the way, the tone, y'all know I'm a voice person. The tonal quality of that voice, the way that he was delivering those lines, the rap snacks, that's a lot of salt.
he undied. You know, my Hyundai died.
Died.
Yo, what? He undied.
Well, I tell you, I was in tears. That nigga he was so funny. His timing was perfect. And nigga indeed is going into my repertoire. Like, I'm never letting it go. Do you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
So he is my scene stealer. How about you?
Yeah, same. If you
Okay.
would have asked me, like when I first watched it, you know, saw it in the theaters and then saw it when it first got released, if you would have asked me who it was, I probably would have said Dwayne Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
And then I probably would have went with
Grace Buyer.
X Mayo. I think she definitely stood out, and then Grace Byers probably would have been in the mix as well.
Mm-hmm.
But watching it this time, I don't think I really realized after you get over the character and you just pay attention to this nigga. Like Jermaine Fowler was hilarious in this
Bruh,
movie,
what?
and there's for me unintentional comedy is the
It's the
funniest.
best. Uh-huh.
Like when you ain't even trying to be funny, you just that way. And that's what he portrayed this entire film. And you have to, as funny as this movie is and as silly as it is, you really have to have some acting chops to deliver it in the
For
way that
sure.
it's intended, because
For
that
sure.
can really go the wrong way if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have the right person there. And he's an incredibly talented actor, and it made sense he would have that role because it was the highest in degree of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
And he nailed it. He nailed it. I got to give it to him. Jermaine Fowler as Clifton is the scene stealer for me. Things that bother you?
Um, do black people be doing Molly like that?
Apparently, because I've never listened. I'm a weed guy, and that's it. I don't do
Yeah,
no
that's
shrooms, Molly, none of that other shit. I know people take the shrooms and all that stuff, so I think that's a little bit more common. But Molly and X and all the other drugs that they was talking about, I'm cool.
yeah, that's a bit. Not really, other than not knowing how Clifton got that invite, and maybe that's the sequel, like us figuring out how he got the mix, how he got in contact with Morgan to schedule that shit for the house. You know what I'm saying? Not really
Dang.
things that bother me, but random. I love the black mental telepathy throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of my favorite things because we say so much without saying a word. It's in the
Mm-hmm.
eyes. And you always know all it takes is a look. And I liked in the Clifton confessional freak out scene because nigga, I can hear y'all too. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Like
still a nigga. Nigga indeed.
indeed. I do know in fact what you're saying, even though you're not talking to me, because how many times have you had a nonverbal conversation with another black person and somebody else peep the shit and just know what the fuck type of time y'all on? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I was in the airport earlier, and this man was clearly unwell. I don't think he was supposed to be in the airport, but I don't know how he got in that motherfucker. We sitting at the gate. This man, he's spinning around, a grown man, clearly mentally off, just spinning around. Me and this black man locked eyes, and all
Mm-hmm.
right, you see this shit? It was very much a full conversation. Like, if we got to do something, we see
Yeah.
each other. You know what I'm
Listen,
saying? And
happens.
that's a very real thing. It reminded me of the Kiki Palmer, and not Yvette Nicole Brown on that. It was some game show where she couldn't say, and it was Rose, and she kept saying, and they kept going back and forth with the eyes, Rose, and she like a lot of black telepathy going on or whatever she said, and it just reminded me of that because we be knowing.
Be knowing that not hey, and that's why I said the movie, there's black people as a whole being universal.
For
Like I
sure.
said, you have different pockets of the diaspora, and all that kind of stuff. But if you grew up in America
For sure.
as a black person,
For
like
sure.
there's just certain things you understand. Your mamas played the same music cleaning up on Saturday. Like there's certain
Mm,
things that are just very black, and that's one of them. Just having those nonverbal conversations.
that's
I
it.
already talked about my thing that bothered me was just the whole Clifton and how you got here. Like nobody wants just double checking.
Yeah.
Um, come see about me. I don't know. It's taking an arrow for your girl. A come see about me moment.
I, yeah. Come make sure I'm alive. Save my life.
And Rachel like, nah, that's expected, nigga. If a nigga got a pole there pointed at me, I expect you to step in front of that shit.
It's not expected, but it's given
It's
because
given because it's real.
hello, my man, my man, my man.
Shit, man. Hey, listen, they was taking them fucking arrows like G's. King
No,
got shot a couple times.
for real.
Allison, Allison goofy ass did that shit to herself.
Herself.
Um, yeah, all of them. They was taking them arrows like a G. And
Yeah.
shout out to no black other than the two that we knew were gonna die. Shout out to
Mm,
nobody else dying.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Any actors from The Wire? No, wouldn't let that happen to me. I don't think this movie is to be taken in that sense. Like it is what it is. Or if you're in the middle of the woods,
Mm,
maybe let's pick a different location.
yeah.
I might be, but I'm also when it comes to the group, like I'm not gonna make a fuss about certain things.
Mm,
Now, there are certain things I won't do. So if this was like a trip where we are staying at we go to a city, we
mm-hmm.
staying at hotels. Like I'm not staying in like a
Some bullshit.
I'm not staying in no $40 a night motel. Like, nah, I'll catch y'all somewhere else. But as
Sure.
a whole, like I'm not, really doing that. Did you have anything wouldn't let that happen to me?
Nope.
Me neither. Um, I learned something new today when
Yeah.
I was doing this research for trivia.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked about the improv and all that kind of good stuff. I was not aware. So one of the spoilers for this film would have been that you could have known that Clifton was the villain
Mm-hmm.
because Apple doesn't allow their phones to be used by antagonists or villains. Like you cannot use an iPhone in a movie if you are the villain.
Ooh.
Found that out today. So it's not explicitly written in their like
Mm-hmm.
standards or whatever you want to call it, but Apple iPhones are specifically used to create for positivity and to
Mm.
promote that. So if you ever watch a movie and a person has an iPhone, like they're a good person, they're a good guy, whatever. They're not a villain or a bad guy. They're not an antagonist. That is a thing. So when he said I have an Android, that was kind of like a
That
subtle
was
little
a
giveaway.
giveaway.
Yeah,
Mm,
because Apple does not play that. Like they do not play. You cannot give the bad guy our phones and promote it because that's not.
yeah.
Yeah, that's in
That
like
ain't
their
what we
bylaws.
mm.
Yep, exactly. So I thought that was very interesting.
And Clifton definitely manually locked the doors when they came back into the room before um the second part of the game. I caught that on the second time. He's like, guys, we're
Mhm,
locked back in. Like I saw him twist the thing other than pushing the
mhm.
button like he happened. I was like, oh, I missed that the first time. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I just thought that was a cool piece of information. Y'all can Google more about that if you want to about the iPhones. I think there have been a couple rare occasions, but overall, it's like a big untold thing. Like you
Yeah.
it ain't law, but it's law.
Yeah. For sure.
Um, all right, Rachel,
Yeah.
we get to the end of the episode. This is a fun conversation.
It
Welcome
was.
back. Welcome back.
Looking back.
Um, get to the end of the conversation where we will rate the movie. The average viewer rates The Blackening 6.0 out of 10. Too high, too low, just right.
Too low.
Hmm.
And maybe for the comedy alone, like if we say, okay, the pause, things that bother me, it was too dark. Like I don't think it was well lit.
Aesthetically,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
And you really tell the difference when you watch like the intro scenes when they're driving in.
mhm,
Like there's just a night and day. And I get the horror aspect of it supposed to be there, but I agree with you. Aesthetically, it was too dark.
yeah. Um, it's crazy, but just because it's ridiculous and how weak I was, I'm gonna give it a 7.8.
Oh, ooh.
It's the Blackening is added to my shit to watch, and if I watch it redacted,
it's a so I remember when we did early Culture Garden days. We did Head of State, and I remember
yeah,
us recording in school. You know, we just talked about how often we watch it in school. So I watch this every 4 years. Like every election season, I watch Head of State, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Every Juneteenth, I will be watching the Blackening, no
watching
question.
Blackening. Yep,
Probably more than that, but at least every Juneteenth, I will
for
definitely
sure,
watch the Blackening, no
for
question about
sure.
it. It is too low. I'm not going that high, but I'm gonna go a full point beneath you. I'm gonna go 6.8.
Okay,
I'm gonna go 6.8. At 6 is way
6.5,
too low.
7.5. I'll go
7.5. That's cool. That's cool.
7.8
Either
is
way,
a lot.
but
7.
nah, it is. Listen, it is one of those movies. You just weren't expecting that. You weren't expecting to laugh as much as you did throughout it, and I think for us it helps because we can literally see ourselves in there. I can
For
see
sure,
myself in this situation. Me and
for
my
sure,
niggas, and we gonna figure this shit out. And while we doing it, we just still gonna be extra black, which means we gonna be extra funny. So,
exactly.
Rachel, a
Yeah,
rose, a bouquet, or the whole damn garden?
I'm gonna give it a bouquet.
I want to give it the garden.
I want to give it the garden, but I'm gonna
I,
give it a bouquet.
I want to give it the garden,
Mhm.
and I think it goes back to what you said. If we ever revisit this, if 2 years from now we talked about it, I might be giving it the garden. I might be calling it
Yes.
the classic.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give it the bouquet for now, but I can understand it getting the garden. I could see that happening with a little
Yeah,
bit more time.
for sure.
Remember, the movie's only been out for over a year.
Yeah,
So for us to feel this strongly about it, I think says a lot. Um, and a great cast. I think in the next few years when we look back at this cast, it's gonna be like, oh damn,
perfect.
they all went out to do things. So yeah, that's it.
That's
Rachel,
it, y'all.
we bite.
We bite.
We'll be back next week. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank you for your patience while we were out. I know we kept the feed going. We had content coming, but now that we got some things sorted out as far as best episode ever, we do want to make sure we keep this up and running for Culture Garden, Rachel and myself. Shout out to school. Like I
School.
said, check out Another Week in the Books, Chapter 2, Book 2, Chapter 2, and his conversation when it comes to what he's been going through, so that you can hear firsthand from him. I did send that episode out to a couple people that I know have been listening since day one, and
Yeah.
have vested interest in school and his well being. But yeah, it's
Shout out to
exciting to be back.
for sure.
You said what?
Shout out to Isaiah.
Yeah, shout out to Isaiah, man. Shout out to Isaiah. But yeah, Rachel, I said it at the beginning. No better feeling than pressing play and having you on the other side of the microphone to record. I'm glad that we back in the saddle,
Hey,
and we'll be back next week with a whole new episode.
absolutely.
Appreciate all y'all. Remember to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. Y'all be cool. How y'all be cool?
Peace. Bye, y'all.
We out.